Uh, hey everyone. I quickly just wanted to go over the new Domionion Genesys points update. I've This isn't like the first time I've looked at it. I looked at it a bit earlier, but I've not really like analyzed it. Um, and I just want to go over it. I really like Genesys as a format. I think it's really fun. I play my best under Genesys. And it's really good. Um, Though I do believe that this list is only addressing the new cards in Blaze of Dominion and isn't a full list update. Because there are definitely cards that should be pointed in a full update that aren't pointed in this. And there's definitely cards that I think are missing. Isn't as bad as Blaze as the last set as Maze of Muertos, because that card missed Illusion Gate for whatever fucking reason. But again, I like playing Genesys. Most of my deck profiles have been on Genesys, and it's my favorite way to. It's one of my. I think I prefer playing it at least right now over TCG, and I'm not looking forward to playing Cool Toon. Speaking of which, obviously our big new Cool Toon cards are all getting heavily pointed. Cool Toon has received a bunch of points in recent months, also adjusting hand traps to fit around Cool Toon. I believe Cool Toon, with these cards in particular, especially Crackle, is definitely outpointed. And I don't think there's a reason to play Rotary at 40, because otherwise you're just going to not be able to play basically anything else. You might be able to play one Rotary and that's it. But I think full hand knowledge is really. I don't like full hand knowledge anyway. I say it as I played Exchange as a card, which should be pointed as well. But yeah, just being able to use a card to get full hand knowledge, I think is so unbelievably disadvantaged. I'm glad this is already high pointed. I hope this is pointed enough. Back to back, I think most people wouldn't choose to play this in Genesys anyway. I don't think people really are summoning this in TCG, at least from what I've seen of people testing and stuff. I don't think people are really making this. Crackle is definitely the big one at 70 points. This is basically pointed out the game. Whatever. I'm not too familiar with the Kanku cards, apart from I know that they're pretty powerful and really cheap. I believe places like Kongs and Tier Zero are selling like a core of all the Clan Crew cards, which is 3 of each of every Clan Crew card for like 10 quid. So you can pick these up. Like this deck is really cheap, and I believe this is probably going to be a pretty decent Genesis deck, because I would say it's not bad to play in TCG as well. And I do not know the ratios you play with these at all. I assume this was the guy that was called Whiteface in OCG at 1. I believe this is a 3 of. I'm sure it's at 1 point to stop some OTK of some kind. Probably some Zaborg shenanigans that could be done with all the tribute. This deck's tribute summon theme. There's probably some Zaborg shenanigans that are probably preventing by just putting this on 1. But yeah, I'm not too familiar with which cards exactly these are, but it seems like it's a pretty fair points allocation across those. Power Vice Dragon and Crimson King. This is actually pretty nice. Red Dragon Archfiend right now is basically running at 20 points on Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss, and that is it. And then 10 more if you want to count Bestial Disparter as part of an engine card. There are probably my locals who have been playing Red Dragon Archfiend in Genesys, and it's been a pretty decent deck, but yeah, just giving them 15 points across these two cards. I don't know if Power Vice is a 1 of or 3 of, but just giving them a couple of engine points, I think is fine. The deck was pretty good without it anyway, because you could literally play 2 Ash Blossoms in this deck before. So just giving them a couple of points in engine, I think is totally fine. Archmage Impasto Recapture. This is the new Archmage trap. That is a monster negate that can be set and activated on the turn that is set by Non-Finito. This card is very strong, and is very good, and it covers for Archmage's biggest weaknesses, Nibiru and Droll, because you can set this up without adding a card to hand and with under 5 summons, right? So you can. This card is really strong. The problem is, this is where I've had a bit of issue with this, is that Non-Finito is still sitting at 15 points. From it being given that in back when Bust Protocol released, they gave it 15 points to give Archmage points, and then they gave Archmage more points, and now this is 10 points. Now, Non-Finito is a pretty good card. I would say it's very strong. I think it's really strong in TCG, in main TCG. In Genesis, it is a it is a points magnet. Because non-finito, his main use cases post plays in Dominion is setting this trap, which is 10 points. It itself is 15 points, and then going into Ilya Silva alongside with Litera, which is another 20 points for Ilya Silva. So that is 45 points on 3 cards. And then you got is it 7 points apiece on Medias? And then you got 3 for all your spell cards that you got to play. Armage has been butchered. And I think what they need to do is lower non-finito down to 5 points. I'm fine with the trap being pointed. I think this is completely fair. I think this trap is really, really strong. And I think it should be pointed. But non-finito is not doing anything by itself. And the 2 cards that non-finito enable are already extremely pointed. I think non-finito can come down a little bit, even to 7 points. You can cut it in half. It does not need to be 15. I don't know why it was 15 before to stop you going to Ilya Silva. But now it's still 15 and the trap is also 10. Like the problem is the trap and going into Ilya Silva. I don't think non-finito by itself is super strong. It's the trap and Ilya Silva that are the strong cards. And I think this is a must play, especially when Nib is only like 6 points or whatever the fuck it is. You need to play this in Armage to stop the Nib. Elfnote Regina, 40 points. Yeah, this is good. I expect Elfnote to get even more points coming up. If this trap is getting points, I expect the Elfnote trap to get a couple of points added to it too, because it is just an on-field Omni. Or the hand rip one to get points. Yeah, that's fine. The new Doomsday card gets 20 points. I think that's fair. Doomsday is barely pointed again. It's just like Medius and the couple of cards that search him from Archmage that are pointed inside of Doomsday. And I'm sure there's probably some peripheral, like rank 4 cards that probably got hit along with Onomad at some point. But yeah, this is good. The new boss monsters are at 20. I think that's fair. Boss monsters being at 20, I think is totally fine. I think that's good. Officiator of Doom Samuel. I have no idea what this card is for or what it does, but 10 points, sure. Again, I don't know. Are these train cards? Are they train cards? Maybe, I don't know. I'm not too familiar with the train stuff. But 10 points, okay. But the actual the generic cards that people actually care about. Harmonia at 50. I'm glad this is this high. Droll should be up here too. I'm glad this is really highly pointed. Max C is 50 points and nobody's playing it. I doubt anyone's going to play this because all this synchros worth sending are points too. And you for example, Meilong's 4 points. So you can't even play 2 Harmonias. It's not worth running at 1. This is basically pointed out in Genesis. I'm super happy for that. Especially with this card being so expensive. I like the fact that Genesis is relatively more budget friendly. If you go back and look at my Dark Lord list, there's like one card I was playing Forbidden Crown, which is like a 30 quid card, which you can replace with another droplet, which is really cheap now. And Dark Lord Tez, I think, is actually 5. It's like 5 or 10 pound. Again, you can just cut that for a different Dark Lord name. You don't need it. It's good. It's very helpful. And if you were to buy one more expensive card, I would say that one. But yeah, you can play. And also Clown Crew. This deck is also really, really cheap. And probably super playable in Genesis. So I like Genesis being a lot more budget friendly. And I'm glad Harmonious is basically pointed out of it. Dominus Spark, again, I was playing, I think, for what Spark does, I think 10 is fine. Because it's not as high impact as Impulse, and Impulse is 20 points. And I was playing that in Dark Lord. I think Spark is fine. I think it's a pretty strong card. Not every deck can use it. Obviously, this is better in Dark Lord because it isn't clashed with Heralds or Cartesia, which is good, and it's half as expensive. But I think Dominus, I think Spiral is also at 10. I think, or maybe Purge is at 10. I can't remember, but I think this is totally fine. And Solemn Accusation at 12. For as strong as this card is, I think this is relatively fair. I'm just surprised that Judgment is still at 7. But Judgment, some decks can play just triple Judgment. which is very strange. Accusation, though, I think is pretty fair at 12 because it can just hard shut down some decks. Obviously, this MST isn't really Radiant Typhoon isn't really being played in Genesis all that much anymore. So banishing all copies of MC doesn't really matter, and obviously, Sky Striker is unplayable in Genesis, being a link deck. So the main TCG use cases for this card don't really apply, but obviously every deck's gonna have something that they rely on to be banished. But yeah, I will just say, high impact 10-0 cards. Yeah, just bring it up to it. The Columbus event coming up. I will say the one thing that they didn't hit on here is the new Power Patron Medius Searcher, which is very strange because Vandalism Assault, Armage Vandalism Assault, was is a Medius Searcher, which is a continuous spell. Is 3 points a copy, and Thea Realize, which is a Medius Searcher, is 5 points a copy. Well, Medius to grave for cost card. Obviously, the new Power Patron card does require you to run a Power Patron card, which most Power Patron decks are doing, or most Medius decks are doing, and send it to the grave, right? Which is very, very, but you have to send it to the grave, right? But you can just, the problem is that that card is also runnable in Dark Lord, and you just need to put an extra deck Power Patron in your extra deck, which Dark Lord doesn't really care about. It's got a very, very loose extra deck. And then you can just send it and summon any Dark Fairy, because it doesn't say Medius, it says find a Dark Fairy. So I think that card should be pointed. It is just Rhoda for any Dark Fairy. Which is any Dark Lord card, and I think Dark Lord is a very, very strong Genesis deck. I don't think it's the number one. I still think Monarch is obscenely strong, but I think it's definitely a tier 2 deck, not tier 2 deck in Genesis, and will get stronger from a new way to search basically any card in the deck for free. And obviously it searches Medius too, which is Medius is proven to be very, very strong. Not only in Genesis, but now he's becoming very, very strong in TCG as well for all the new Power Patron cards. But again, I'm not too familiar with every new card that's coming, but the main ones I'm glad to see are the Cool Tune cards, obviously. Regina, I'm glad, has been addressed. I was expecting points in the trap, but 10 plus all the other points across non-finito and everything. This is I think Artmage is just basically being pointed out at the moment. It's really hard to play. And then Alpha also actually has like 15 points on their Power Patron as well. So playing Regina is definitely going to be a heavy cost for them. If they want to play it, they have to really cut back on the rest of the cards. And yeah, I'm happy that this is basically pointed out. And I'm fine with Spark being at 10, I think. And Accusation being at 12. I think Imperm's also at 12 and nobody plays it. So I think this being the same points as Imperm, I think is totally fine. Yeah. I hope we get a full points update in the next month or so. I guess we'll probably have to wait till after Columbus, until we get it, so they can get a bit more data, on what's popular and what's not, and what's winning and what's not. But I'm happy with these for the most part. I don't think there's anything standout that's missing. Again, I'm not familiar with every new card that's coming out, like, to the tier. Maybe there's some GMX thing that's gonna be super broken, I don't know. But they can't play Misk, so it's probably okay. But yeah, I just wanted to go over it because, yeah, I just want Genesis to do well, and popular covering it means news that people actually like playing this. Yeah. Let me know guys what you think. If there's any cards missing, let me know. Overall, though, I wouldn't say that any of this is bad. Maybe Rotary can go up to 70 as well. I hate this card. I hate this card so much. But yeah, I'm just excited to see what the next full list is going to bring. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Bye.